Where did I put it? It's in here somewhere, I know. Where? Ah, there it is. Haha. All right. Welcome back to Cooking with Hutch High Perf. I'm your guest, Hutch. Let's see what we got cooking on the stove. Oh, I think you're going to love this. Freshly picked thermostat. Okay, so I've been slowly letting this thing simmer around 170, and now I'm bringing it up to temp. I'm already up to 186. It is not open. Wait, just now starting to see movement. 189. Yeah, now she's creeping open. 191. This is a marked 180 thermostat. 192. 190. Yeah, 192 still. $196. So by 198 we're full open, looks like. Yeah, 196. All right, so now we do the opposite. And that looks like full close right there, and that's at 178. All right, maybe I brought the temp up too fast, so let's try bringing it up a little slower. So we're already at 178, so if I can creep this thing up to 185 and hold it there, I want to see if it starts to crack open on me. This is a little difficult on an electric stove. It's either just it's burning or it's not. So I'm trying to kind of like bring this temp up a little slower than I did the last time. So the water temp or the thermostat itself might not have been able to keep up with how fast the water temp was rising. So maybe we'll do a little bit slower and creep it up. $180. This is a little better because it's coming up nice and slow. 181. Looking to see any daylight. 182. I think I'm seeing a little daylight. Okay, so bringing it up a little bit slower, it seems like it's giving it a chance to react. It's opening now. We got 183. 183, and she's starting to crack open. Okay, that's good. So it's marked 180, and it starts moving at 183. That's pretty daggone close. Yeah, she's opening up now. All right, I'm happy with this. I'm happy with this. Okay, so now I can get this thing out, cool it down, and actually put it in the car, put the thermostat housing on, and have that done with, and be confident to know that the coolant system that I put together is actually going to function closer to where I want it to be because the thermostat is actually acting correctly. Yeah, it's about, what is that? About a third of the way open, and it's at 186. Okay, I'm happy with that. I think the cooking is done. All right, much like I've said for everything else, use the silicone sparingly. So I'm just going to put a very slight film on here just to know that I've got everything sealed up. Just a very slight bit. I'll let the gasket do the work. This is just a little help. Perfect. Gasket goes on. And then same thing on the bottom side of the gasket. Just a very light smear, nothing too thick. It would push out anyway if you did. Perfect. All right, place our thermostat in. Very important too, you get this thing cocked and you tighten it down, you can crack the housing. So you want to make sure that it's definitely 100% in the middle, ready to go. And then down with our thermostat. And then the bolts. Half inch, and it's down to 20 foot-pounds, which honestly, as long as you snug this thing down evenly, you're going to be fine. But since I have my torque wrench out and in my hand, why not? Just that easy. And we just run around and do a little bit of silicone cleanup, any place where it kind of eked out or did anything, just so it looks nice and professional. Perfect. Might as well catch this coolant sensor while I'm here. Get that bad boy started. Oh, if you're using any type of Teflon tape, make sure you don't get it up here on the sensor part. This is actually the part that needs to be submerged. You get that around it, you're going to end up insulating it and you get a false reading. So that's 21 millimeter. I had to stop and ask myself, why was I wrenching that thing down in slow motion like a common heathen? I've got tools. Nice and tight. Okay, so maybe I'm a little retentive, is that the word? So what I like to do is once I'm done, I go back and I shave off that little tiny bit of Teflon tape on the bottom just to give it a cleaner look. Yeah, I know it's probably over the top, but that's me. And I think I can now remove this pressure gauge. Yeah, there we go. There we go. All right, and now we'll put on the sending unit. There. All right, so that's 13 on the front bolt and 15 on the rear. And then we'll just go ahead and get this in place. Want to have all the pieces that I'm going to have to put a connector to in place. That's why I get some of these sensors on. So when I run my harness, I know exactly how long it has to be, where the connector goes, all that good stuff. Okay. All right, so here is the back of the AC compressor. So it comes with this block on it. It's bolted down. This seals the back end of the compressor. This is where your charge and discharge hoses. That's where this block bolts to. That goes to your AC lines and has a sticker on it. And it lets you know that it came from the factory and it had 3 ounces of oil added to it. And then it was your responsibility to make sure that the rest of the system got the balance of the oil to make up the entire necessary oil for the system. So I may have said this before, but at the dealer, this is something we always did. When we got the compressor out of the parts department and we brought it back to the bench, we had a bottle of AC oil that we would add to it. And I think it was bottled where it was the entire amount that you needed for the car. So it was all like GM stuff. So it was the entire amount. So what we would do is crack these things open and we would dump the fluid out that came inside here. Because who knows how long this thing has been sitting on a part shelf somewhere. And even though they've got this thing sealed up, there's still the possibility that you get a little bit of outside elements that make it past the seal. And what you don't want is the oil that's in there to be contaminated with a little bit of moisture. So that was just a thing we did at the dealer. So we would get them, put them on the bench, grab a cup of something, open this thing up, flip it over, pour out whatever oil was in there, add 3 ounces back to it, bolt it on the car, and then do the rest of our service, just to make sure that it had fresh, new oil in it, and it wasn't something that had been sitting in here, maybe getting a little bit of moisture to it or whatever. So that was just something we did, and I'm so used to doing it, I can't not do it. So I will be doing it with this one, but I don't think I want to do it yet because I'm not sure when I'm going to be starting this thing up, and I don't know when the rest of the lines are going to get put on, and it all depends. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to temporarily put this on the engine just so I know where the connector is about, so I can run my wiring for that. So there's a little explanation for why I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay. Just throw in these bolts temporarily. Let's see if it's going to fit. Very nice, right past the compressor like it should. You remember, these bolts actually have a flat side to it, which I actually filed a little bit flatter just so it would definitely fit past the clutch here. All right. That might be all I need, really. Might not need this one down here, but why not do it since I'm doing it? Okay. All right, so now that's in place, I'll be able to properly mark where the connector is and how I run the harness for this side. So just wanted to make sure that was in place for that. All right, so now it's time to get back onto the harness. So I'm going to start with the headlights, high beams and low beams. And I bought, if you remember the video where I went through all the different parts, I bought new high beam connectors, low beam connectors. They're both the same. They look like this. It just depends on where the wire goes. But I don't like these. If you see the connector in the front, it is a different style from the factory connectors. And honestly, I said, well, it's just, it's just a housing. Probably goes in the same way. It's got the little hole in the front where you would put in the tool. No, it's a molded plastic, like a ramp clip in the back that holds it in. So it's held in from the back instead of the front by a pin on the connector, and you almost have to damage the stupid connector to get it out of the housing. Because I need to take these apart because, I'll explain in a second, but I'm replacing these wires with a heavier 12 gauge wire, and I'm going to run a relay system to power the headlights, but I don't like these. I think they're junk. So I don't care for them. And also, simple fact, for these, you can see how the clips look. These are your standard like 280 style clips. So you push in the tool on the front and it pops up the little tang that holds the clip in, then you pull it out. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all 4 of these apart, the factory ones, and then I'm just going to clean them up. And they look in really good shape. They're not like dry or cracked or anything. So I'm just going to reuse these and then put my 12 gauge connectors in here. And that should, I think, yield a better result for me. I don't like the way the old ones were, and I like the fact that these are way easier to service than those were. So that's what I'm doing. So if you remember from me doing the other connectors, so you've got the connector and you've got your pin tool, and there's a small, let's see if you can see it, there's a small slot on the front. So the flat of the pin tool goes down into there. There's a small little tang that sticks down and it hooks into a recessed area on on the connector head, and that's what holds your pin terminal in. So if you put this bad boy in, right? Yeah, and you spin it down so it gets it pin loose, and then, oh, there it is. And then the pin just comes out on the back. And then if you're taking this out for whatever reason you need to service it, all you have to remember is when you're done, you want to take this clip on the back and bend it back up so that when you put it back in, it's actually going to click into place. Because a lot of times when you push the tool in, it bends this down and it kind of stays there. So when it slides out, when you put it back in, it's not going to hold. So you got to pop that pin back up. Other than that, yeah, just got a bunch of these to do, and then I'm going to clean all this stuff up. Oh, and if I didn't mention this before, you can see that there's this clip on the back. This snaps down into the back of these holes right here, and it's like a secondary holding that clips into place, and it kind of just puts pressure on the back of the clips so they stay in place. I've already checked it. Because of what I'm doing, I can't reuse these because I'm not going to be able to fit the barrel down into the clip just because of the size of the wire, and you'll see that when I get to it. Anyway, so if you're doing work on these, you just have to pry these off, and when you pry them off, then you're good to go. So inside these connectors is the gasket. So I'm reconditioning these, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, since I'm not going to use the blue ones, they have brand new gaskets on them, so I might as well steal the gaskets off of those to put on these, and then these old crusty ones where a little cracky can go. And then we'll give these things a little bath in some soapy water and see if we can't get them cleaned up a little bit better than what they look. Nothing but an old toothbrush that I took out of service for its original intention, and now, like everything else, goes into the garage for repurposing. So these little things work great for little tiny parts like this. And then once it's outlived its usefulness there, then it gets chucked. Yeah, that'll have to do, I think. 3 more to go. All right, before I get started, let me explain, I guess, in a little bit of detail exactly what I'm doing. So you've got your C100 connector up here, and then you're going to have, let's say this is the front of the car. So you've got high and low beam on either side. And you're going to have, there's a common ground that comes off, and then that goes to ground. Same thing over here. So those two go to ground. All right. So normal situation, you've got out of your C100 connector, you've got the tan wire and you've got the green wire, and those run down. And then they get split, such as that, and they run to both sides of the headlights. Under normal conditions, you've got the switch inside the car. It feeds out through the current feeds through the switch out to the C100 connector, into the wiring harness under the in the engine bay, and then out to your headlights. And then that's how it gets its power. The problem is it runs through so much stuff that it limits the amount of direct voltage you get to them, and it also puts a strain on the switch inside the car. Sometimes those things will wear out over time. So this is what I plan on doing. So same C100 bulkhead, and you're going to have, let's call it high beam wire coming out, and we'll have our battery, and you've got positive, negative, leaking ink. All right, and then we'll have our headlights. And all right, so instead of the power coming from the battery, going down to the starter, power feed back into the harness, inside through the switch, back out here to the harness, and then out to the lights, what we're going to do is I'm just going to use the light, the wire coming from the switch, the power coming from the switch. That's all it's going to be is a trigger. So I'm going to put a relay, a pair of them, in between our switch and our headlights. So what we'll do is we'll have positive battery power that comes down to the relay, and then there's a switch inside that stays open, and then this side will actually run down into our headlight. And then on the other side where we turn the light switch on and it feeds the power out to the harness, that's going to come down to our relay. And then on the other side, this is just going to go over and then straight to ground. Okay, so this is connected on the inside by a coil that gets energized. So when I turn the light switch on, power comes through here, energizes the inside, and goes to ground. What this causes is the switch on this side, which is my main 12 gauge power wire coming from the battery, this switch will close right there, send power through the relay, and then down to the headlight. And then you've got power coming straight from the battery through the relay right to the light. Takes all the load off of the switch and also provides you with a shorter path to the lights, gives you more power and theoretically brighter lights. So that is what I'm going to do, and there'll be a pair of relays, one for high and then one for low. So that's how we're doing it. All right, let's look at all the parts. So we've got 12 gauge tan, that's my low beam. 12 gauge light green, that's the high beam. I've got some 12 gauge black, which is going to be the driver's side ground, and then a bunch of, and it's just because this is the only way I could buy it, with the stripe was in a certain length. So this is black and white, which is going to be passenger side ground. Got all my connectors cleaned up, and I've got my relays that I can put together, all set up for 12 gauge wire. All right, so now it's just a matter of stripping everything down. Oh, and then I took off all the seals for the crappy brand new ones I bought that I'm not going to use now, which is a waste of money, except to get these things, which I probably could have got cheaper than that. Anyway, so I'll put these on, and then we'll get cracking on just stripping and crimping wire, which is, you've seen that. I've already explained that. So anyway, I'll be back in a sec once I get some of this wire set up. So got the connector on, and you'll see that the rubber boot is out here. I'll explain that in a second, instead of connected on to the end of the connector like it's supposed to be. So I get the connector, and we'll slide in our connection there. So the connector is in. It's a little bit of a tight fit. So now here's my idea, because these little rubber backings, these are supposed to be for 16 gauge, I believe, 14, 16, but I stretched them over the 12 gauge. So it stretches it out and it makes it just fat enough that it doesn't want to go in the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it fit. So this has got a little bit of squish room, so I'm going to actually take these and push them down into the back of the connector, and that should do a good job of sealing out the weather. keeping these things nice and tight in here. It's a bit of a booger, but it will go. Just got to be patient with it. Do 1 quart at a time. Yeah, so there we go. One last push on this side. All right, so now, as you can see, I've got it sealed and it is in there tight. So not tight enough that if I hit the connector on the front, I can pull this thing out. But it's wedged in there nice and tight, and that'll be a nice weatherproof seal. You can see this is where, you can see how it's protruding out these little sides here. That's where that plastic clip would have gone in to hold it in place. But this is going to work out just fine, I think. That's good and tight. It's not going anywhere. So now I've just got 7 more of these to do. Hey, check it out. I got the front header on with the headlights and the grill. Need this on here because I need to figure out my wiring spacing. Let's look down in here. So I've got the connectors wired up, at least green and tan. I've got to put the 1 ground wire on this dude over here. Anyway, I wanted to get this stuff in place because it runs underneath the core support and then over to this side where these guys live. And so I cut my grounds to the length that I want them at. And let's see if I can show you down here. See if I can show you this. So this hole right here, that is where the ground screw goes into that grounds the headlights for both sides. So now that I know I got the 1 ground wire in and I ran it and I kind of, figuring out how is this going to sit in a harness that I'm going to put this whole thing in and be able to come out and not be like in a bind. And once I found that out, I was able to cut the other one for the low beam out here in order to run it into the same type of harness and get that up to the ground. And so now I never throw anything away. So anytime I get, doesn't matter what it is, in the mail, if it's bulky of any type, a lot of times there's a ton of these long wire ties, and I cut them down to lengths that I can deal with, and I just keep these in the junk drawer with a bunch of other stuff. So I've always got wire ties that work in a pinch for like putting stuff together. So I've got my high and low beam over here, and I've kind of run it where it's going, because there's holes underneath. Let's see if I can just get down here and show you. All right. So anyway, so there are, see if I can show you one. There are these holes here that run along the underside of the core support. Those bad boys is right in front of the radiator. That runs right through here, and that is where the harness from here crosses over to the other side. So I think I'm probably going to, since these will be, since the high and low, these 12 gauge ones at least, will be independent of the rest of the wiring harness, I might just put these in a separate harness, but then run them in tandem next to the other one and clip them in and then run them along the same route, but just independent. So then if ever I need to pull the harness, or maybe I need to take this header panel off or remove the core support or whatever, I don't know, I can unplug. I'm thinking down in here is where I'm going to pop the relays, and they'll just they'll probably, if I can manage it, I might put them just below this opening and then bolt them on this core support down at the bottom there, and that's probably where they'll live. So like I said, if the header panel needed to come off or the core support needed to come out or something like that where I'd need to remove the harness, I could take the header panel off and then just unplug the two relays and then just take that right with the car, the whole harness and everything, and not have to like fish all that out, at least for the headlights that the header had to come off. That's the plan. So now what I'm going to do is start over here where I've got my low and high beams coming across from the other side, and I'm just going to wire tie them together so I have an idea where they're at, because these are the two wires that run all the way over to the passenger side, and then I've got driver side wires, and those are going to meet up somewhere down there, and then I will use a butt connector to butt the two wires into one wire that goes into the two relays. So it'll be one for high and one for low. So that's the plan. So now I'm just going to do a little bit of wire tying, and then we'll take this back out, and then it's just a matter of making more connectors. Okay, so I think I've got the placement for where I want my relays to sit. Just got to screw them in. Just want to get some quick fitment to make sure that they're going to work. The spot I put them in. Oh. And I've made it difficult for myself to get this stupid thing in. At least with the power tool, that is. And that's fine. Once I get this thing down a little bit more, won't matter. I'll be able to hit it with the impact if I need to. Alright, so the idea is, got two relays. I've already wired one. I'll wire the other, but I wanted to kind of get an idea how they were going to sit. So I figure if they sit facing each other like so, the big question will be, can I unplug them without having to take them loose? And I'm worried I might have put them too close to each other. I could angle them down, actually. That might not be a bad idea if I just angled them like that, enough to where they're clear. All right, let's see if I tighten those right there. That's good enough. Okay, all right, so if I orient them like this, they're kind of at an angle, so I should be able to do whatever I need to do with them. Let's see if I can push this clip in and then pop this thing loose. And it's, oh, well, that's going to be interesting. You know what? I did notice these things are really tight going together. Well, maybe that's how I do it. Just push them on and off the clip, and then from out here, I can actually work these things loose. Whew. All right, that is some tight relay right there. But that's fine, because I don't plan on having these things apart too often. Wow. That was tight, but that's fine. That means they're going to stay sealed. I like that. Anyway, let's get out of this tight spot, and then I'll show you how I wired this up. So here's what I'm talking about. All right, so this is kind of a better drawing that I did of basically the same relay system, except both relays are in. Oh, there's also, I don't know if you can see it over here, there's going to be a 30 amp fuse that's going to be in the middle of battery positive going to the relays. So if you look real close here, you can see as long as you follow the basic guideline, should be good. So For your two trigger wires coming from C100, those are your 16, I have 14 here, but I'm wrong, it's 16. So 16 gauge, those go to pin 85, and then the pin 86 on the other side is the ground, and then 30 is where your positive feed comes in, and then 87 is where your wire goes out and down to your beams. So the relay is clearly marked where everything is. So the 30 is marked number 3, and the 87 is marked number 5. Then you've got 85 marked 2 and 86 marked 1. And then if you look in here, that's all the numbers are actually labeled right next to the pin on the inside. So as long as you know what goes where. So okay, my power wire is the 30, so that's number 3. You look in here, you find number 3, and that's where you pin your wire at. And then you just continue on till all 4 wires are pinned, and then you're done. And you snap it together and put it in the car. So this is the relay I just fought to get the connector out. So this one's already done, so it has all of my wires. So I've got trigger wire, ground, main power, the red wire, and then tan wire, low beam coming out. So these two cross each other, these two cross each other. It's it's hard to get it wrong as long as you have a little bit of common sense. Here's something else that I did. I took a weather pack connector, and what I'm going to do is where the 2 wires come from C100, I'm just going to have them plug into a little 2-port connector, and I can just unplug that, and then the relays, everything stays with the car. Don't have to worry about trying to fish it through the inner fender, all that stuff. Just got this little tiny connector, well, the male side of that hooked up to the harness, and then everything else will be in this. So I've got one more connector to go. This wire will go where this tan wire over here goes. Here's light green on this side, and that'll be my high and low beam relays. And here's both relays, all wired up, ready to go. All I gotta do is run power and grounds. And if I didn't mention this, the little pin connector here goes in from the top side and snaps into place. So, oh, let's get that, okay. Yeah, so that snaps down in on this side. There it is. There's your connectors. And then I will have the harness wiring will snap right in here for high and low beam, and then everything else will be contained in this. And then I can just unplug this one thing, boop, and then the whole harness can go out, and this will stay exactly where it's at. I like that. And this is what I was talking about. This is a wired in fuse. So it's a fuse holder, 30 amp fuse. That just pops right in here. Then you've got weatherproof cover that goes on it, nice and sealed. Bolt that to the inner fender well, and then that'll go from power supply and to relays. Well, I got it all done. There was a bunch of crimping and splicing and putting everything together, and it turned out rather well. I quite like it. It looks like a hot mess right now. It's just a bunch of spaghetti. But once I get some 1/4-inch sleeving on it, it's going to make it look a whole lot better. But first, I've got a bunch of heat shrink that I've got to melt over all of these splices and everything to get them all nice and neat and insulated, and then we'll be ready to go. move on to some 3/8 to handle some of this stuff up here where the butt connectors are. It needs a little bit bigger harness. All right, let's get it back in the car and see what it looks like. All right, with the sleeving on, it doesn't look as bad and spaghetti-ish as it was before. So now I can just start feeding this stuff into place and we'll see what she looks like. All right, well, let's feed it in from underneath here. That is the relays in. There's the ground. We'll put that out there for right now. And then let's get the lights plugged in. Low beam, high beam. Okay. Oh, here's the power. Okay. There's my two grounds. Those go up in there. All right, let's get these snapped in place. Okay. This is the ground. I'll connect that over to the same spot that the ground for the headlights is at. That's a good spot for that. Okay, those are in place. This will be the two wires coming from the harness. They'll easily snap right in here. I say that there. So that snaps in. That'll be easy to route. This comes over here. Sorry, it's a 30 amp fuse. What I did was I just screwed it right to the base over here for the inner fender, or the fender well, I'm sorry. And then this can get snapped in place. And then we'll route that something like that so it's kind of like down and out of the way. That's good. This will go to the power supply over here. That's where battery's going to hook up. Everything's going to go in there. So that'll be something like that. All right. So now let's move around and get the wires run to the other side. All right. So these go up over this brace. Okay. And then it will run up. Yeah, that's where the connections are. So it'll basically run this way behind this brace here. Come here. Behind this guy here. over the brace on this side. And then that will be held up in the top right there. All right, and then this will come up right in here. High beam, low beam, and then my 2 ground wires. I can put on more wire loom to kind of make this disappear a little bit more. So anyway, ground wires will be up there. Yeah, okay. Let's get back over the other side. So we'll get the rest of the factory wire loom, or my modified factory wire loom. So here is one of the connection points. So this will get snapped in here. That'll hold the loom in place as it comes out of the inner fender. Got my horn wires. I'll hook them up later. So then this will actually go up into that same spot and cross exactly in the same spot as, yeah, so cross in the same spot as my relay harness. Okay, so let's get the battery back in. Yeah, it's about where it goes. That's center from where the strap will be. All right. Well, that is about everything. So as you can see over here, there is a cutout. So this is, I think General Motors made it. One feed wire came in to this stud, and then you had a way to feed out that same gauge wire and then a smaller wire. So they had 2 outlets with 1 inlet. So I've just got to cut a notch in this side to facilitate this one connector going in, and then we'll just have 2 in and 2 out on both sides. And I got to work out, because I bought an alternator kit as well to run a higher gauge wire for the alternator back here to charge the battery. So anyway, outside of that though, really, I mean, well, this is still hanging out, and it would actually go inside the core support and over to the other side. But yeah, that's pretty clean. You really just can't see it unless you get right on top of it and look down in there to see where the relays are. So they're nice and safe down in there, weatherproofed. Everything is looking good. I like it. I like it. So I got all the grounds ready to go. And then if anything ever happens, I need to pull the harness, I need to do anything, I can just hit that one 2-wire connector down there, pop that off, and then the harness goes that way, and everything for the headlights stays out here. And yeah, I kind of like that. Well, I think that's it for this one. Headlight relays, doing a thermostat, a couple other things. Yeah, I think that's enough for now. And next one, I'll be right back on the same thing. I think I'll do the starter wires maybe the next time. I'm not sure. But anyway, I got a hot mess behind me all over the place. I've got little pieces of insulation and wire and crimpers, and just there's junk everywhere. It's going to take me a while to clean this up. And I'm tired. It's late. I think it's 2 a.m. So I'm done. I'm done. Anyway, glad you're here. Appreciate you guys coming here. I really do. I get a lot of really interesting compliments, comments, questions on the comments section. So if you got any questions or anything, shoot them at me. So I'm able to answer that stuff because I'm still a tiny channel, so I'm not overwhelmed by it. So yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling now, and it's late, and I'm tired. Anyway, appreciate you being here. I think I said that. Anyway, this is Hutch from Hutch High Perf. I'm tired. Have a good night, guys.